Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Urban Update. I'm Byron Barnett. On the show this morning, the New England Aquarium invites you to discover a paradise unlike any other. Also on the program, how do you feel about the way Boston accents are portrayed in the movies? Boston Globe film critic Ty Burr joins us to discuss this very topic. And of course, love is in the air as today is Valentine's Day, and we'll have some great ideas for both the fellas and the ladies. But up first, the results of the New Hampshire primary are in, but what do they mean for you and me here in Massachusetts? Earlier this week, on the Republican side, Donald Trump topped the list while Democrat Bernie Sanders won in impressive fashion over Hillary Clinton. To discuss this very interesting primary, we've invited Boston Globe Deputy Ideas Editor Alex Kingsbury to the show. Welcome to Urban Update, Alex. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So, Alex, I was up in New Hampshire during that week between New Hampshire and Iowa. You were up there a lot as well. What stood out, sort of jumped out at you being up there that crazy time period?
Well, I think, on the surface, it's everything you'd expect in a New Hampshire primary. People are out there, lots of town halls, asking good questions, candidates kissing the babies and shaking the hands and so forth. But in the end, we ended up with a result that, while expected, was really surprising. Not just that Donald Trump sort of dominated the GOP field in a way that, again, he was expected to win, but the way in which he won, the numbers really, really stood out. And the same with Bernie Sanders. Again, expected to beat out Hillary Clinton, but coming off a tie in Iowa, to the point where they were flipping coins, I think people would have expected, something a little different to come out of New Hampshire. What he got was a resounding win.
And what about this? I mean, Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, this whole anti-establishment thing, I mean, it really seemed to just play out right here in New Hampshire. That
it did, right. And so, I wrote in the Globe that they were both able to capitalize on sort of the furious fringes. So on the right, you had Donald Trump really capitalizing on a part of the Republican electorate that they felt wasn't being served by the establishment. These are people who are really angry, and they just want something different. You talk to Donald Trump supporters and you hear a lot of this. Bernie Sanders on the same side from the left, he's dealing with a really motivated, angry group of the electorate that just is not satisfied with what they're getting out of the standard politician. So I think, that anti-establishment left a lot of people in the middle. Bush, Clinton, Kasich, all those people were sort of left behind.
And speaking of Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders beat her in so many areas, and he beat her in votes among women.
He did, yeah. I mean, he did. One of the problems with the New Hampshire primary in general that critics have been saying for years is that it's a very sort of limited electorate when you're looking at a nationwide election. It's very white. It's the political affiliations are very sort of nebulous. People change affiliations all the time. Lots of independents, so forth and so on. As this primary moves forward, we're going to places like South Carolina, and that presents a whole new demographic for people like Clinton and Sanders going in there.
Well, and speaking of Sanders, it was very interesting this week. Bernie Sanders went to Harlem to meet with Reverend Al Sharpton. The two of them made a big show of it, going and sitting down, in a restaurant there, Sylvia's restaurant, the place to be seen in Harlem, in front of a window. I guess, what do you think was up with that?
A remarkable scene, wasn't it? Yeah, it was really something. Clearly, Bernie knows this race is going to go on for a long time. I mean, they're both in this for the long haul. And the reality is America's a very changing place. And,
he's trying to cut into Hillary's support among black voters.
To put it directly, yes, exactly. I mean, this is a nation with changing demographics, and Bernie knows that he needs to reach out to them. That's where it has to go.
Now, you wrote a column this week talking about, I guess, the whole Bloomberg effect, calling Bloomberg, I guess, maybe the biggest winner here in New Hampshire?
That's one way to look at it. He's set up a whole bunch of trial balloons about maybe I'll run for president. He's been saying this for years. It's pretty interesting, though, that the two big winners out of New Hampshire were very anti-establishment candidates. Bloomberg has had his entire career sort of running as a Republican one day, a Democrat, an independent. He's a guy who can sort of navigate a lot of that, and he's a radical centrist in a lot of ways. So a candidate, with that sort of portfolio maybe seems kind of appealing after New Hampshire. It's getting pretty late in the process, though. He's really got to jump in if he wants to make a difference.
And what about the, I guess, the establishment primary, between, Bush, Rubio, Kasich, and Christie? Chris Christie, Governor Christie in New Jersey, he's out now, of course, but he did all that work really destroying, I shouldn't say destroying, but he really damaged Marco Rubio badly in that debate. but he really wasn't the one to benefit from it. As it turns out, John Kasich is the one who came out in second place.
Yeah, I mean, Kasich worked really hard for his support in New Hampshire. The Globe editorial page endorsed him. He won a lot of support from that sort of New England moderate Republican field. One of the things with Christie leaving the race, his supporters are now up for grabs, and they're probably not going to go to Trump or somebody like Ted Cruz. And the people who are going to benefit from Christie leaving are people like Kasich and Bush. I mean, those supporters are going to go somewhere, and both of those candidates have a good shot to sweep them up.
Looking down the road, obviously, a year ago, I don't think anybody could have predicted that we'd be looking at Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders in the positions that they are today. I certainly couldn't have predicted it. But as you try to look down the road, and after having, been wrong so much, the past year, I guess, how do you see the race shaping up along the Republican side?
Well, I mean, it's on the Republican side, who knows? It's one of those things that allows newspaper columnists to throw out trial balloons like Michael Bloomberg. I mean, who knows what we're going to be in a year? As we sort of noted, this is one of those years where the rule books get thrown out the window of Donald Trump's 757 as he flies by. So a lot up for grabs.
And on the Democratic side, Hillary, the word is that the Hillary Clinton people are counting on the March primaries when there's many more delegates up for grabs, many more diverse states will be voting. That's where they think they're going to make their mark. What do you think? Can Bernie Sanders, tap into her base at all?
I would be surprised. If we're calling this a long game, I think somebody like Ted Cruz on the GOP side maybe has the longevity to win it out, and Clinton seems to have the money and the support and the diversity of support that she'll need to win a national election. So,
okay, we'll see what happens.
If I had to bet.
Okay, if you had to bet. I'd be careful about that after this year. Okay, Alex Kingsbury, the Boston Globe Deputy Ideas Editor. Thanks for coming in, and thanks for the great chat about the New Hampshire primary, and we'll see what this reality show brings next.
Yeah, we will. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Alex. Okay, coming up, a special invitation from the New England Aquarium. All the info right here on Urban Update. Stay with us. We'll be right back.